like I said, every deal feels more and more complex. And so this one was no exception. So we were working with the physician partnership of the Gainesville Surgical Group, and this is in Gainesville, Florida. So the physician partners, originally founded the practice and owned the building. And it was on campus of the HCA Florida North Florida Hospital campus, again in Gainesville, Florida. It's a 523-bed facility undergoing a renovation. A lot of great things going on there. And so, we talked in one of our earlier discussions, Avery, about how there's strategic acquisitions and dispositions by health systems. And so that kind of came into play here. But let me back up and we'll get to that point. So physicians owned the practice, physicians owned the building. At some point in time, the physicians decided that it would make sense to partner with HCA. Their building and practice was obviously on the campus of the hospital. So they sold to HCA the practice and continue to be employed by HCA. And so during that process, they had to negotiate a new lease. And so that lease, was put in place. And then many years later, when we got involved, the lease was coming due. And so, working against any large organization, whether it's a private equity-backed MSO or a hospital or anyone else in healthcare, is arduous, right? It's a long negotiation. Everybody wants to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of in the transaction. And in particular, when we're working with a hospital, there are concerns surrounding Stark and anti-kickback and just making sure that we comply with all those things. So the lease with HCA was coming due. And so the physicians engaged us to help negotiate the lease behind the scenes. So in this case, we felt like it was more effective for the physicians to coordinate with the hospital and for us to just guide them on the business points and not get too involved in the personal or social dynamics of the HCA and physician relationship. So we did that, and we were able to secure a new long-term lease with HCA as part of that process. And so at this point, the physician partnership was, I think, 4 or 5 doctors. And, they're all at different points in their career. And they decided, hey, we would like to explore a sale of our building. We have a new long-term lease. Let's do it. So we embarked again on our call for offers process to identify the most aggressive buyer. And so over 3 to 4 weeks, we solicited interest from prospective investors in the medical real estate segment and generated 5 or 6 offers. So the thinking is, like, if you have 1 offer, you don't have a lot of leverage. If you have 6, well, we can negotiate. So we were able to really firm up the pricing on the asset. But at the end of the day, it turned out that for strategic reasons, it might make more sense for HCA to be the owner of the asset, particularly because the building is located on campus. And so this feels like a strategic asset for them to own as they expand their footprint and reach on the HCA Florida North Florida campus. So now we gave them an opportunity to match the best offer, but obviously it's not as simple as that, right? Because we need sign off from legal and compliance. And so we went through an entire process of making sure that the value checked out. They obviously have to engage a third-party appraiser or valuation experts to ensure that we're in fair market value. So we helped navigate that entire process on behalf of the physicians, and then ultimately, got board approval and vote for HCA to close on the transaction. And so at the end of the day, they acquired the building at the highest price, but we had to go through the entire sale and marketing process to ultimately prove that out and reach it, which then further had to be validated via an appraisal. So our team navigated that. And then once again, we had a great outcome because, HCA now owns a core asset that's part of their campus. The physicians are happy because they were able to monetize the asset for, the highest value. And so it creates a win-win situation. So any situation like this where we can add value, albeit complicated, is something that we're really attracted to working on.